This program only reflects the personal views of the program host and or the individual contributors.
Good evening, this is Newsline. I am Michael Chigani. Why does rich Hong Kong have so many poor people? I've got Christine Fang of the Hong Kong Council of Social Service and Oxfam's Hong Kong Program Manager, Kalina Tsang. Now, thank you both for being on this show. The reason we're doing this is in a couple of weeks' time, Donald Tsang will be giving his annual policy speech. And one of the big issues is obviously going to be poverty in Hong Kong, the widening rich-poor gap. Now, Kalina Tsang, you're the, as I said, the program manager, Oxfam Hong Kong. Oxfam just did a study, and I want to ask both of you this. Oxfam just, your organization did a study that showed that the number of working poor, people who have jobs but don't earn enough to support their families, the working poor, that number has jumped a lot. Why is that?
Yeah, Oxfam is very concerned about this group of poor people. Actually, they contribute.
Are they poor or they're the working poor? They're two different things, right?
They are the working poor. Actually, they work a lot and try to contribute to the society. But even they work hard, they could not find a decent living in the work. And I think that because I think one of the reasons is that the so-called trickle-down thesis fails.
Trickle-down economy, that economic, that's not working.
People always say if the economy could get bigger and our economic pie could be better, it will be trickled down to the poorest group of the society. But in terms of our figures, we find that the poor group cannot have a better living and a decent living. Actually,
sorry, go.
Yeah, actually, the low paid jobs, the people there, we find that they couldn't have much increase in their salary, and it is more and more difficult for the middle-aged, low-skilled group.
So they're basically underpaid.
Yeah, I think they are. Their income is less than enough for them to get a decent living.
Okay, now Christine Fang, you're the Chief Executive of the Hong Kong Council of Social Service. You've been here before, and we did talk about this issue before. Now, Kalina Tsang just mentioned the trickle-down economics, where if the economy is better, the bosses make money, some of that money will trickle down to the less privileged people down the ladder. That's not happening. Why is that not happening?
That's why we're talking about the minimum wage, because by market, the wage doesn't go with what is basically needed by the grassroots people to maintain a decent living. We know that we benchmark international standards in terms of measuring the poverty line. We said if you're living with means half of a medium household income, that's for one person household. If you earn less than 3,000 or 3,200 something, your livelihood is really poor.
If you're a single person, you earn $3,000, you're poor.
Yes, because you have to take care of housing, you take care of food, and if you're working, you have to travel.
So if you earn $3,000 you'll get government assistance, wouldn't you?
If you're working poor, I mean, getting public assistance, we have a good safety net, but with it carries strong stigma. People don't like to go to take public assistance. They want to work. And what Kalina says is that what they're getting from a fair job's pay is not enough.
You're basically saying Hong Kong employers are not paying enough.
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
well,
that's why we have the minimum wage.
All right. Well, we don't have it yet. The law is passed, but we haven't set a level for it yet. And there's an argument about where we should set that level, whether it should be $25 an hour or $28 an hour. But Kalina Tsang, I want to come back to you. Your study found that, we're talking about the working poor here. These are people who have a job, they have jobs, but they cannot support their families. They don't make enough to support their families. Your study shows is I think the number of working poor is just under 2,000, right? 200,000, right? 190.
Nearly 200,000 households. But actually, for the number of people living in this type of household, it is over 660,000.
So you talk about 660,000 people, essentially, your study shows, are not rich, don't even make enough to have a decent living. Is that what you're saying?
But actually, in terms of the working poor families, our definition is that their median income is less than half of the median income of among families of average size.
So how much are they making?
And actually, the households, they are below $8,900 per month. But actually, the lowest 10% and 20% groups, they only earn around $3,000 per month and $6,000 per month, respectively.
And how many people are they supporting with that money?
Actually, in our study, we find that their family burden is very high because their dependents, most of them have dependents, and most of them is one working member are supporting two family members.
And they're doing that with $3,000?
Some of them can be at that level. So you can imagine the figure is really alarming. And if you calculate the transportation, some of them have to work very far away. The rent, if you want to have a cubicles in Hong Kong, it is talking about $2,000 and $3,000.
That's right.
Yeah, so if they could not get to public housing, so they are very terrible, and the life is very poor.
Well, Christine Fang, I just want to ask you this. We've discussed here about trickle-down, and that's not happening. Money is not flowing down to the workers. But we have a government that says Hong Kong is run on a small government, big market, and capitalism is what got Hong Kong where it is today. And the market dictates. If the market says the salary is at that level, then what can you do about that? You cannot interfere with that, right?
I mean, people are seeing the increasing wealth or income gap. It's hurting the social harmony as well as stability. And also you see there's getting more and more population of people whose wages isn't enough to make ends meet. So these issues need to be tackled. That is why we're talking about this minimum wage.
Minimum wage is not going to tackle it.
We learn from overseas experience. Like Hong Kong is an open economy. I mean, we're a capitalistic society, same as that we are UK, Japan, and USA. They have minimum wage. And now they're also talking about negative income tax, using taxation not just to get money on from those who can earn more for collective public services, for people who are not earning enough. They're using a negative income tax system or tax credit system to support people to maintain a certain living standard in that society.
You mean
for
give
everyone.
them subsidies?
Yes, living subsidies.
But why should, I've got a problem with that, and I want to ask both of you, why should employers who don't pay enough salary to the staff, and that staff should be subsidized by the rest of us? Why should that work? I mean, how is that fair?
I mean, first thing is, do you believe that the market can fix up everything? I mean, history has told us, and now we see, as you said, the increasing income gap. It cannot be corrected by the market. One very clear example you see, Kalina has mentioned, it's our population, the number of people that are low-skilled and less educated. For people who are about 50 years of age now, I mean, when they were at school age, we didn't have the compulsory or free education. Now these people are going into old age. We don't have a pension system that's inclusive for low-income earners. So these are policies that we haven't made before that has protected people from becoming poor. So now we have to think of ways to correct what the market will not correct itself.
And that's to give them government handouts.
It's to set up a minimum wage. It's not handouts. It gives them subsidies so that people can also work and make a living wage. Maybe need something more than a living.
Well, let me ask Kalina Tsang. A minimum wage, you mentioned minimum wage. The talk now is that it's going to be set at around $28 for 1 hour. If you pay somebody $28 for 1 hour, that person's going to earn something like, what, $6,000 a month?
Yeah, $6,000.
Is $6,000 a month going to be able for you to support your wife and kid?
I don't think so.
Exactly.
I think obviously everyone can feel that it is insufficient. Especially, I just mentioned before, for the working poor, their family is usually 3 to 4 members. So with one earning 6,000, it is totally not enough. That's why in Oxfam, Hong Kong, we think that the government should have a kind of income protection policies in addition to the minimum wage.
How do you mean an income protection? You guarantee a certain income?
I think that because I have to say that, for example, we are talking a lot about transport support
subsidies and so on, right?
And it is only limited to a few districts and only have a limited time of a year's time. We think that we can expand the transport support subsidies so that it is not just a short-sighted scheme, and it can encouraging the poor people to seek long-term job and to be self-reliant.
Okay.
And also because in our study we also found that the child care support policies to the working poor is not enough because, for example, the neighborhood support child care project or the after-school care projects, the quota are very limited.
So all these things are not, the government is not giving enough subsidies to the working poor in Hong Kong.
I think the government's policy is very piecemeal and far from adequate. We need a long-term comprehensive policy to tackle the poverty issues. This is the #1 issues that I think Donald Tsang should look at, and people has high expectation on him.
I've got just 30 seconds before the break. Christine Fang, is it fair that the bosses don't pay enough salary, and like Kalina says, the taxpayers got to finance that?
I mean, what's tax are for is for public benefit and maintaining a society that functions. We have the police, we have healthcare, we have education. I mean, it's not just government footing in what the employer is not paying enough for. It's a kind of social, what Kalina has mentioned, what's internationally talking about is a social protection floor, which not just by cash. There are provision of services like healthcare, education, and make sure if everyone has an opportunity to really work and earn their living and also advance in society. So these are what government's social policies should do.
We'll pick it up after the break. Don't go away. See you soon.